sumo wrestler.
He's a bit too slow to catch the jackal, though.
While the brown hyena was out pasting its claim, one lucky viewer's just staked theirs on a 2,000 Rand rugged wear voucher. Congratulations. And that's another episode of a Wild Bush Week done and dusted, filled with love, rivalry, and a surprising amount of bodily functions. Nature never disappoints, it just gets weirder. Before we go, our wilderness wisdom for the week comes from the immortal words of a fortune cookie I once ate in Hoedspruit. It goes like this: a duck in water looks calm, but its feet are a mess. I have no idea what it means, but it feels important. Until next week, keep your head above water and your feet moving.
Day has started in a great fashion, as mine has. Welcome to Live at the Waterhole with myself, Sean Taylor, and the Wild Earth team. As always, we are going to be with you for the next 2 hours, and hopefully it is a cracking show and a few animals turn up, which would be great. Don't forget that we value your input, your questions. I love interacting with you guys personally, so feel free to send us a WhatsApp or message us on one of our social media platforms, which is shown up on screen, and we will endeavor to answer your questions and to chat to you. It's a live, entertaining show, guys, so please feel free to join in. And I know a lot of you are at home listening right now because it is a Saturday, so I'm expecting to get a lot of hellos and some conversation running as we go into our 2-hour time slot. It's really good to be back with all of you, and as usual, we start off at our favorite waterhole, which is Ardonio Lodge, and we have a giraffe who looks perplexed. Yeah, he just kind of he's just kind of looking around going, where's everybody? Is it just me here? It looks like he planned a meeting, like we do at a restaurant where we sit down and the person's late and we're like, oh, we start looking around. That's exactly like what's happened. He's planned to meet up with someone, and they just have not turned up. Hopefully it's not a hot date, otherwise we'll all have to send our condolences to him. But he does look like a big, beautiful boy, so I very much doubt he'll get turned down anytime soon. Maybe it's just a mate of his. They joining up to watch the rugby, which will be happening later on in the early afternoon. Hope you guys will be watching and supporting the boys, whether you are a rugby supporter or not. So while we wait for his long lost lover, I'm gonna let you guys into the theme for the day that I have planned for us. So we always have themes around the animals, but there's so much more that goes on out there that we most of the time are unaware of. And so I'm going to dedicate the show on this most beautiful, stunning Saturday to the trees of Africa. So throughout the show, I'm going to be giving you guys some interesting facts about the common trees that we see in and around the game reserves. It's going to be difficult to point some trees out, obviously, on the camera, except for some umbrella thorns and stuff. So I will endeavor to try and point some stuff out that we can see. But I'll be dropping a few facts here and there because it's always so cool to learn about these trees. They are so important. And of course, we as human beings live in symbiosis with these trees. So to get to know them is a good idea. And what I would like to know from you guys is, what do the trees talk about? What is said when the animals stop feeding or the animals walk past? What are the trees saying to each other? What do they whisper? What are they skinner about? Let me know what. I'm looking forward to a couple of funny comments from you guys, as usual. You guys always keep us entertained. Hello to Leopard Lover. Yay, Leopard Lover, thank you so much. Oh, his friends turned up. Awesome. You're late. You can check him out. He's like, you're late, and I like to keep a tight schedule, and you've embarrassed me on camera. That's what he's thinking right now. And Mercedes Bean, hello to you. It is good to be back. Thank you so much. Lenny, hello. And Jay, good morning from KZN. Whereabouts are you in KZN, Jay? I reside around the Belito area, so let me know where you are. Yeah, and also, guys, let me know where you are. Where are you watching from? It'll be awesome to find out where everyone's from and what you guys are doing. We'll have a lekker busy show today. A nice, exciting show. But let's go back to the reason why we're here. Is these two big bull giraffes. So obviously it wasn't a hot date. It was his friend who was supposed to show up for his tea time, but unfortunately they now have missed it. And yeah, they don't seem to be, and unfortunately they don't vocalize, so they can't moan at each other, which probably is not the best thing, and also probably a really good recipe for a good healthy marriage. Let's see if these guys have a little drink. They are stunning. The one on the right hand side is humongous, so they generally top out at about 5.5 meters. The females are about 0.5 meter less, so they are about 5 meters. This guy looks a bit bigger than that, actually. I mean, he's basically touching the top of the screen there. He's taking up half the screen. It's amazing as we watch this, his friend having a bit of a drink there, slaking his thirst, as my daughter's doing as she pulls up next to me with her big glass of water. Hello, my cherub.
Hello, guys.
You're going to watch the show with us?
Yeah.
So have a look, guys, at that most awkward drinking position that these guys have to chill in. You see the one in the back there has got the old giraffe yoga stretch going, whereas the one here more in front of us has got his own way of doing things, a bit of a bent. I suppose he has to get a little bit lower to the ground, being a bit bigger, but I like that. We'll call that the tripod, because that's exactly what it looks like. Doesn't it look beautiful in Odonyo, guys? Look how green everything looks. It really does look stunning there. The birds are flying around, lots of insects around. Summer has arrived in Africa, guys. So you can expect hot weather during the day, big thunder showers, like lightning, massive lightning storms. We are spoilt with our massive lightning storms that we get. And I remember when I moved to KZN, our neighbor said to me, "Oh, you don't get many thunderstorms and stuff here, but let me tell you, we've had some hectic weather here in KZN. We even had a tornado. Was it last year, Liv?
Yeah.
We had a tornado last year that luckily missed us, but it just tore Tongaat apart. We actually saw it growing. It was quite hectic, actually. We were about to do a scene from Twister and head on out, but luckily we noticed that it was going the other way. Hello Penelope, my mate, and Jay is also from Belito. Jay, cool man, very, very cool. Penelope, hello, I know that you're from my hood in Sheffield Beach. And we've got I think it's Fiorella, I think. Fiorella Safari Lover. I apologize if my Italian's not that great, because he or she's from Italy. Thank you so much for joining. And then Ari, you're from the Netherlands. Goeiemorgen for jou, Ari. And then we've got Joyce from the US. You're watching from Cannonsburg in the US. Guys, it's so cool to have all of you with us, man. Thanks for joining in on the conversation here. Jay, you are saying one interesting fact that you know about giraffes is that they eat bones for calcium. So Jay, they don't eat them, essentially. Because they are ruminants and they have a 4-chambered stomach, they would not be able to digest. It would be too much for them. They would regurgitate it and have to spit it out, because it wouldn't be able to go through into that first chamber. So there's only a few animals that are able to digest bones, which would be hyenas and crocodiles and one or two other. Lions can digest smaller bones from like impala and bush chihuahuas or steenbok. But what they do, Jay, is they chew on it. They just gnaw it, and they basically just get whatever they can absorb on their tongues and their lips, and whatever they can kind of swallow from the bones. But unfortunately, in terms of the saliva and the minerals, but unfortunately for them, there will be no ribs on the menu anytime soon. And then Apple, you're asking about our giraffes. How do giraffes drink water without passing out? It's a very good question. I'm very tall as well, and when I drink water, sometimes I pass out because I don't have what the giraffes have got, Apple. So what giraffes do is, when they drop their head like that, obviously all the blood would rush to the brain, right? But they have a valve at the kind of between the brain and the aorta. There's a little I'll call it a tunnel. I'm not getting my medical terms correct, but an artery, not aorta, sorry. And so what happens is when they drop their head, that little chamber closes, Apple, and so the blood does not rush to their head. And then you'll notice with giraffe, they'll drink, and then as they lift their head back up, they flick their heads up, and you'll sometimes see the water splash kind of in front of them. And what that is doing is just instinctively they are reopening that valve, which is quite a thick valve, so that the blood can start flowing again. Isn't nature next level, Apple? Next level. I just love it. And then that basically is how they're able to get straight back up, because of course at the waterhole, that's where all the business happens with the predators. They often hang around and look for prey coming down to the water when they are otherwise engaged in drinking, and often prey animals are meeting up with each other and having a little bit of a chat, almost like primitive Facebook. And they don't notice the predators hanging out somewhere in the thickets. So they need to be up on their feet and out of there ASAP, and that's their little tactic. I've got so many things coming through, guys. This is so cool. Wildlife Lady, hello to you. You're saying that the trees would probably say to each other, that was a close shave, nearly ended up bald. Yes. Especially the knobthorn trees, Wildlife Lady. They get hammered. These giraffe, actually, the knobthorn trees make up 40% of their diet. They love the knobthorn trees. It's a highly, highly nutritious tree because it grows in quite fertile soil. And it's one of the first trees to flower as well in the bush in the late winter, early spring. And so it gets absolutely hammered because at that time of the year, obviously, there's not a lot of nutrients out in the bush. and they don't have the option of just heading to Dischem and grabbing a Centrum. So they have to deal and have what they can have, and so that tree gets absolutely hammered, hence its protection. So guys, we're going to leave these two to get over their little tiff about the one showing up late, and we're going to head on and go see what's going on in the hood. So we've headed to Lentora Lodge here in the Great Rift Valley, and I cannot make out exactly what that is.
It's a hardy doll.
Olivia, I don't think that's a hardy doll.
It is. You just have to wait for it to go caw, caw.
Yeah, right. Hopefully it doesn't do that. Sadly, my child's bird skills, I still need to. That's my fault. I feel like I'm a failed bush father for not teaching you that certainly is not a hardy doll.
It is.
No, that's a hammerkorp. By the looks of things, it is. I can see that head now, guys. That is a hammerkorp or hammerhead. Very, very cool birds. They are the ones responsible for those massive, huge nests that you see in the trees. They honestly look like bird apartment buildings, and they literally, these birds will use anything to build their nest. I've seen plastic, unfortunately. I've even seen some washing people's clothing that they use to put into the nests if there are people living close to the river. They literally just pile these nests full of whatever they can find, and they're huge. I know I keep going on about it, but really they are absolutely massive. But they've got a very distinctive call as well, and let me tell you, they can catch you out. So if one flies past you fairly quickly, just by looking at having a quick glance, sometimes they actually look like a raptor as they come past with that beak of theirs, which you can't really see too well, and that head. They could look like something like a black sparrowhawk or a juvenile something. So sometimes you, as a guide, you learn with as time goes by that you need to be 100% sure when you say something, because often you'll see it and just be like, oh no, that's a sparrowhawk or something, and then it lands, and you look like the worst birder on the face of the planet, which has happened to pretty much all us guides. So often, that's why often if I see something, I'm very reluctant to give the identification till I know 100% of what it is. It's just it's just years of saying something and then being whoopsie. So I try to make sure that I know what's happening. We've got leopard lover. Leopard lover, you're from Australia. I didn't know that, actually. Why didn't I know that? I thought you were South African, or you were South African in Australia. But good day, leopard lover. Nice to have you with us. And then Melanistic Marble, you're from Greater London. Very, very cool. Hopefully the weather is okay today, Melanistic Marble, as you guys are going into your winter. But a very festive season, obviously, with Christmas coming up. I loved the UK. My wife and I lived in the UK for a year and a half, and we got to spend a Christmas in the UK, and we just loved it, man. Felt like we were in one of those weird Hallmark movies for a month. It was really, really cool. And then Mercedes Bean, Southern California, very nice, very, very nice. And then Marinda, goeiemorgen uit Engeland. So Marinda, you're obviously an expat. I bet you're missing the summer, right? And I'm sure you'll be having braais. I remember being invited around to a braai in the UK when we were there, and they were cooking sausages or bangers and duck on the braai. I was shocked. I was saying to the guys, listen, where are the chops and the boerewors? What's happening here? You can't call this a braai. This is a barbecue. Can't call this a braai until we have bors and chops. But anyway, let's get back to regular viewing. Leopard lover, you're asking, how come we don't see predators feeding on predators that often? Is that because they're harder to catch? So, leopard lover, predators generally don't feed on each other. I have seen lions kill hyenas a few times. I have seen hyenas kill a female lioness. And I've seen lions kill wild dog as well. And on all 3 occasions, they will kill and then they play around with it almost like a trophy. And the reason they do it is not for food. They don't see it. Oh, there we go. There's a perfect view of the hammerkorp now. The reason they do it is not as a food source. They don't view each other as a food source. They do it out of competition. So particularly with lions, they have got zero tolerance for other predators. And so any other predator that comes into the area, they'll try and exterminate. And it's not a shoo, get out of here. It's a I want you permanently removed. The only predator really that is basically cannibalistic but will also eat other predators is a leopard, funnily enough. So leopard are known to be cannibalistic. I have actually seen in Kruger National Park a male leopard feeding on another young male leopard in a tree. It was slightly disconcerting. And actually it was a cheetah. It wasn't another leopard, I lie. It was actually a leopard feeding on a cheetah. My wife has just reminded me. Thank goodness. Behind every lying guard is a wife correcting him or her. So yes, it was a cheetah. But also leopard will kill jackal as well. Actually, I've seen leopards on jackal a few times. So besides our spotted friend, generally speaking, they're not cannibalistic. And also, I have been told that because of a carnivore's diet, they don't taste, the taste is very different as well. So it's not something that is favored by other predators, which is quite interesting. Before this little cherub on screen clears off and flies off because it looks like he's having to preen, these guys have just come out of their breeding season, guys. So they've just laid their eggs now. And they will be looking at raising chicks very, very soon. And their eggs are around about 50 centimeters, so it's quite a big egg. It's quite hectic, and it's like a white color, so it looks like a chicken egg essentially, just a little bit bigger. But often you don't see that white if you're looking into the nest, because the nests are so dirty that they're covered in white and all of that in mud and all of that kind of thing. But we're going to leave our hammerkorp friend, who's just loving life here in the tree, and we're going to head on over and see what is going on elsewhere.
Let's go and take a look. See you out there.
Join our expert guides at dawn for a live, immersive safari as the bush comes to life.
Found ourselves a chameleon, and look how he's changed color.
Every sunrise brings new discoveries.
Pound for pound, a leopard is one of the strongest cats around.
Ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with nature live and in real time.
Great excitement, great happiness.
Start your day with adventure. Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
And they'll breed, whereas these guys will kind of hang around together. And they're very, very, very prominent as a stork. You'll see that very prominent blue kind of cheek almost, or blue face, with those grey legs with the red toes and the joints. And they are quite as storks go, you can't necessarily see as you're looking on screen now, but they are fairly small compared to the other storks, like the yellow-billed storks, and my favorite stork, which is the saddle-billed stork, which is massive. But yeah, quite very, very cool. And for you, those of you that garden and love your gardens, you'll love these guys because the majority of their diet is actually locusts. They love locusts and crickets and stuff. I've seen these guys absolutely decimate a swarm of elegant grasshoppers at a waterhole once. So they are quite cool for your garden pests. Just checking out our comments here. Oh, Ria, hello, you're from a farm near Sharkus Kraal, so that's very, very close to me as well, Ria. And you're saying my poor daughter, at least she knows what a hardy-dar is. Ria, everyone knows what a hardy-dar is. For those of you that are that are overseas, the hardy-dar is, how do I describe it? It is the
Flew away.
oh, great. I bet you it was your hardy-dar, Liv. It scared them.
It wasn't. I didn't even make a noise. It was you talking about the hardy-dar. They felt left out.
So we're gonna now that our Abdom storks have decided to carry on with their trip around around Africa, we're gonna head on and go see what else is happening while my daughter reads a bit on hardy-dar advice that she can give you guys.
Yeah.
Oh look, Olivia, it's your hardy-dar. We're back at your hardy-dar, man.
It's fun.
So we're back to our hammerkop friend in the tree that looked like he or she was heading off, but has decided actually chillaxing here by the waterhole in the tree on this most beautiful Saturday. Sounds like the best thing to do. It's probably neater than its house, actually. As I said, the nests are quite crazy. So guys, don't forget the theme of the day. I'm going to be giving you guys some information on trees. I have not done so yet, and we're nearly half an hour in, but I promise it will happen. And from you guys, I'd love to know some tree banter. What are the trees talking about? When they get heavily fed on by kudu and giraffe, what are they saying? When the elephants come and push their friend over, what are they saying to each other? How do they deal with this? How do they console each other, especially in the summertime? Let me know. Sam, thank you so much. You're watching from Limpopo. Thanks for joining us. Limpopo. Every time I think of Limpopo, I guide quite a lot in Limpopo. In Limpopo, Sam, it just, summertime is like basically living in a gas stove. It is so hot. So yeah, Sam, your oven is coming, man. Summer is almost here. In fact, it feels like summer is here actually. I like how this guy's having a bit of a hide, bit camera shy, wants to be on camera, wants to have a little chat, but is deciding no, I think I'm just going to just be play it coy a little bit. Very, very cool. So like I said, they had just laid their eggs, but they are monogamous, these guys. So the male and female will breed pretty much every season. They breed the kind of towards the end of winter, early spring is when they lay their eggs, for most of them, and it's mostly the same males and females. They'll generally try and use the same nesting site, but hammerkop nests are utilized by many different animals. So you'll get snakes that will go in there, you'll get different kinds of birds that will go in there as well. If it's in a fairly open tree, you'll get raptors and vultures that will go in as well. Yeah, I feel sorry for them. Sometimes they must come back and their massive hotel has been taken over by something. But what's interesting about these hammerkorp is they actually will get other hammerkorps to help them actually. So sometimes what will happen is you'll have the male and female around, but that there might be like one or two other hammerkorps around as well, just helping out with the nest and collection of food and everything. Now I don't know whether they're on a pay grade, whether they have like a daily wage, a daily hammerkorp wage. I don't know. This is something that only hammerkorps will know, sadly. But yeah, they employ some help, which is quite cool. And normally it's just one other bird, so normally there's just a third one. And generally what they are there for is just really just to look after and help keep the nest kind of in an orderly check. Personally, I possibly think it could be an old chick that comes back possibly, and is allowed to stay around in the area, or possibly use the nest as well. I'm not sure, but sometimes animals will work like that. Animals don't generally like strangers around, so I'm sure there's some kind of social interaction, or they at least are aware of each other and know who each other is. Otherwise we're going to have the stranger talk with the hammerkorps and have to say, don't leave your children with strangers, don't allow your children to accept worms from strangers. That's probably what we're going to have a conversation about. But like I said, these nests are huge. We as guides, we kind of estimate that they can weigh up to about 50 kilograms with all the branches and everything that they have. We reckon about 50 kilograms is easy for these guys. So guys, we going to leave this cherub in the tree here, and we're going to move over to Tembe and possibly see our first ellies of the day. And there he is, chillaxing in the sand. And I know this guy actually. He's around a lot, this elephant. I know that tusk formation. He's a big guy as well.
Is this Bob?
No, this is not Bob. Bob's the Botswana ellie. And then we've got some impala in the foreground here as well, a breeding herd of impala. They will be dropping their calves very, very soon. their breeding season is April and May. They have an 8-month gestation period, to which they will drop their little foals as we're going kind of now November going into early December, and you'll just see this explosion of baby antelope or baby impala running around all over the place. Now, something interesting, not a question from anybody, but I have been asked a few times by guests, is it possible for antelope to delay the birth of their little ones to coincide with the rain? And the answer is no. Mammals cannot do that. Once the baby is developed and it's time to come out, it is time to come out. They don't have the ability to do it. Sometimes what will happen is if we're in a weird weather transition, maybe an El Nino is going into a La Nino or something like that, sometimes what will happen is your antelope will delay the breeding season, or it'll come on a little bit sooner. It helps us guides as well to kind of determine what the summer is going to be like just by judging when these, in particular the impala, will breed. It's generally always at the same time of the year, but every now and again they might delay it a little bit, and then we'll kind of know what's happening, and that's how it works. It's not that they're able to be able to delay it. Imagine that, having that superpower. That would be crazy, man. But let me get to some of your questions. Gee whiz, I've got lots of questions coming in. Thanks, guys. So Asta, you are asking, are there really only 4 species of giraffe? And Asta, yes. So let me put it this way to you. There are only 4 recognized species of giraffe. So there are subspecies within the recognized species of giraffe. But there are literally only 4 recognized species of giraffe. And the one is the one that we see most of the time, which is the southern giraffe. And then we get the Maasai giraffe, which has got the really cool different colorations and patterns. Then the reticulated giraffe, and then finally we have the northern giraffe. So those are the 4, but we do get some subspecies in there, Asta. So you are 100% correct. There are only 4. Thank you so much for your question. Really cool. And Lloyd, Lion Lloyd from the UK, thanks so much. You're saying you're an ex-Zim living in the UK. Thanks so much for joining us. You're saying that most carnivores will chase away another kind of predator without eating them purely for competition. Yeah, that's correct. So crocodiles are cannibalistic. Yes, Lloyd, you are right. Crocodiles will eat each other. Leopard will eat each other. There are 1 or 2 other predators that will do it. But generally speaking, it's more just a competition thing, as you rightly say, 100%. So James, thank you so much for your question. As we see the wind rustling through, so there is a weather, there's a bit of a weather belt coming through KZN. So Tembe will probably get some rain this evening. I think it'll hit them by this evening, just FYI, because I've been checking the weather out, and things are about to go south, I think, in a couple of hours this side. As we see, I've got another Ellie there on the left-hand side coming into screen. James, thank you so much. You're saying, I see animals remove competition for food. Either they kill or they scare them off. I've never seen birds do it. Or do they do it, or do they happily coexist? So James, I personally have never seen a bird, a carnivorous bird, or a bird that'll eat another bird. I haven't seen it. If there are any bird aficionados out there that have seen that kind of behavior, I'd love to know. I've never seen it in the wild personally. However, they don't happily coexist all the time, James. During the breeding season, the males can get quite, in fact, some of the bird species like the weavers as well, the females can get quite aggressive when they are nesting, when they are either building a nest or when they've got eggs. They will chase each other off. And then I'm sure some of you that go to Kruger Park and are able to go to some of our wild places around South Africa will notice in particular the spur fowls and the franklins will often in the early morning and late afternoon will go up to a prominent perch, and they will call to basically advertise, not just for mating, but just in terms of it's not really a territory, we call it more of a home range, and all they are saying is that this area is currently occupied because they are feeding there. They are currently feeding in the area, or they are mating or breeding in the area, and they'll actively chase any males out. But out of the breeding season, James, they tend to just be quite chilled. As we see more ellies coming in. Big bull coming in over there. So we'll come back to Tembi, I have no doubt, so we can have a bit more of a chat about the ellies that are coming in by the looks of things. We're going to head over, go see what else is going on as our big bull elephant trots down the game path there. So we've headed over to Mkoro Bush Lodge in Greater Kruger Park, and we've got a little warthog there, Pumba, relaxing, and obviously waiting for Timon to pitch up. And then by the looks of things, we've also got an Egyptian goose. The star of the show, as usual, is a beautiful bull elephant that is having a bit of this is his sunscreen moment. And as a lot of you know, it serves as it is sunscreen to a certain degree, but moreover, it's just to keep them cool. They generally they tend to be a lot cooler when they're covered in the mud, rather than having their skin exposed to the sun all the time. But also, what this mud bath will be doing is kind of creating a thin film of mud, so that the biting insects like horseflies and so on and so forth are not able to irritate the ellies. And then obviously when they're walking through the bush, any ticks or any ectoparasites that they come across, they can just go up to a tree and rub it off. So that'll actually fit into our theme, guys. So you're a tree, you're just chilling. Let's be honest, you can't go anywhere because you're rooted to the ground, so you kind of just have to hang around. But here comes an elephant, and you know what's going to happen. He's going to walk up to you, and he's going to rub his body all over you, get rid of the mud, and then walk off, and you've basically been left with a massive mud squidge around your trunk. What are you thinking when this is happening? Are you excited to be of service to the elephant, or are you quite upset about this and you're sick and tired of the elephants using you? Let me know. It'll be quite interesting to see what you guys have to say. Lloyd, you're saying, Lion Lloyd, you're saying if trees could talk, they would be saying, we are under attack, something is hurting me, release tannins. Yes, that's right. So Lloyd is 100% correct. Often what happens is trees communicate, believe it or not. They communicate via chemicals in the air, but also using the mycelium, which is essentially mushrooms or a type of fungus. They communicate in that network. It's like a network of almost like intertwining phone lines. And they will communicate. Oh, shame. I know. What a grumpy boy.
How come elephants will warn us when they're irritated with us, like they'll lift their foot and sweat? But how will they ever warn other animals?
They do warn other animals. They lift their foot. They have their heads up. They have their ears out. Yeah, they do warn them, but most of the time the animals don't necessarily pay much attention to them, so he has to do that. You know how stubborn warthogs are. That's Olivia from Belito. Thanks for your question.
No probs.
So anyway, so the trees will communicate via that mycelium, and what will happen is in an area where trees like knobthorn trees or something like that, most of your acacia trees that are being fed on quite severely, they will release, so the one that's being fed on really quite severely will release a chemical which will be caught on the air, and that chemical will go downwind, and what it will do is it will communicate to the trees in the area to up their tannin levels. Now what this does is it will make its leaves distasteful to the animals, and so as the animal is moving downwind, the trees become more and more unpalatable. And then generally what they do is they move on to another tree, or sometimes they turn around and walk upwind and start feeding to the trees up there. And then the whole process will start again. It's very, very interesting how everything works out there. I don't know whether you guys have ever heard of sacrificial limbs. So some trees in particular, it's very easy to see on the fever tree. Now a fever tree are those trees that have that green bark, very, very green, almost powdery bark. We have a lot of them up in northern Kruger. We get fever tree forests, and here in KZN we get fever tree forests as well. And that sacrificial limb, as we call it, is very low down, and it's completely different. So I say it's very noticeable on the fever trees because that sacrificial limb is a brown, like any other tree bark that you would see. But what that tree is doing is it's storing its tannins in that limb, and that limb obviously can't survive because the tannin level is way too high. So that limb doesn't grow any leaves, and it's unable to grow like the rest of the tree will. But how amazing are these trees to come up with that kind of level to be able to use that tannin when they need to use it. It's just, oh man, I just love my job, guys. It's just the coolest thing ever.
There's also that fever tree forest in Bonamona.
I know, very cool. So we're gonna head over to see some more Ellies at King's Camp while the warthog decides to take another angle at this waterhole. Alright, so we've headed over to King's Camp, and how cool is this? Beautiful eye level shots here of these Ellies drinking, and of course we have the most cutest little cherubs. You love baby elephants, okay?
I don't like the monkey.
Yeah, Olivia's not, doesn't like angry elephants. I'm sure most of us don't. Us guides have to just learn to deal with it, but it's really cool to see these four. And you can see they're all kind of similar ages, so it's not twins or anything like that. They'll be similar ages because often what happens with animals is they come into something called polyestrus. So to be able to look after each other, and often with elephants, because they are so emotional, if one female comes into estrus, it sometimes will set off another female if she's obviously within that level. Because remember, these female elephants are pregnant for nearly 2 years. It's 22 months. It's a very long time to carry a baby for. And sometimes this baby will weigh up to 150 kilograms. Look at that beautiful, massive female that's just come in to come and drink. But so sometimes they have a polyestrus, so it's not uncommon to see a few youngsters of a similar age. But let me tell you, that little one there that's just come in, there's two very small ones. There's one in particular on the right of the screen that is just next level cute. Looks like it's just learned to use its trunk, or possibly trying to learn to use its trunk. Takes about 3 months on average for these guys to learn how to use their trunks. It's such a it's like its own little appendage, up to 100,000 muscles, and they have to learn to control it. So keep an eye out on that little one, because if he's not getting enough water, he's going to just dunk his face in the water, or her face, and drink like I think it's doing now. You can see it's dunked its head in because it can't use its trunk properly yet. How cute is that? The other one's doing the same and getting all the muddy water. Oh man, just so cute. Ooh, and my beautiful, loving wife has just brought me a hot cup of coffee. Thanks, babe. Love you. Oh man, I can sit and watch breeding herds of elephants for hours. They just absolutely fascinate me. And they are really, I know it sounds ridiculous, but they are so similar to us in terms of their family dynamic. And even their sexual maturity actually happens around about the same time as us. And it's just, it's just wonderful watching these guys and just having the privilege, the privilege to be able to spend time with you guys and to watch these Ellies having a drink and just living their life in a safe environment where they don't have to worry about poachers. Shout out to all the men and women, our heroes of the bush, who work 24/7, 365 days a year to protect our wild places in Africa, so that these guys can do what they're doing right now with no fear. We love all of you, and we thank you for your hard work and your dedication, guys. Thank you so much. And Wildlife Lady, yes, gorgeous scene here with all the elephants lined up to drink, with that little one now having like a... It's cute, though. See, I told you, elephants are cute, though. No, not at all. It's shallow there. Joshua, you're saying some of the finest elephants? Absolutely, I agree with you. And Yaku, 10 years old. Yaku, wow, it's really nice to hear you. Thank you so much for joining us. There's one more drink from the little one. You're asking, do you think elephants ever get tired of being so big? You know what, Yaku, I think there must be times in an elephant's existence where being big is a bit of a hindrance. Bumping your head against things, getting scratched, not being able to run downhill, being so awkward going uphill, having to sleep on termite mounds because you're too heavy to take your weight, having to eat 18 to 20 hours a day, although if I lived in a bakery I'd be quite happy to do that. Yaku, it must be tough being an elephant, but I think they're used to it. I think they get by. So thank you for your question, and thanks for watching, Yaku. The future of guarding, hopefully one day, Yaku. But now that these guys have decided to gap it, let's move on over. Although, before we go, I do see at the bottom left of the screen there, we have a water monitor lizard having a bit of a scratch around. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm sure you can. They're just at the bottom. These guys are the weaver bird's worst nightmare. In fact, they also cause trouble with the hammerkorp. They love eggs, absolutely love eggs, and they are very good climbers, extremely good climbers. They've got very sharp claws, and very, very common around the water. You will see these guys climbing up into the trees and going for the eggs, or sometimes even the chicks. So if you're ever driving around or you are on a safari somewhere and you see birds going absolutely crazy in a tree, stop and take your binoculars out and have a look, because often there's a snake there, a leguan there, or monitor lizard should I say, or sometimes you get lucky with a bird of prey like an owl or something like that. The birds can be tittletails. It's like being in a nursery school. Go and tell the teacher, so and so is doing this. So often when you hear birds, you'd be surprised how often if you wait, you get the most amazing sighting. Not even of a monitor lizard, but it could be a leopard slinking past or something like that. But now that he's disappeared, I think we'll move on and go see what's going on elsewhere.
Even a hyena coming into the action as well now. Oh my word! She's stalking the hyena now. Leopard, hyena, lion, all together in one shot. Oh! Woo! This is action-packed.
And that's it for this morning's drive.
She's just got her impala, everybody.
And we're going to be heading out and seeing what animals we can find.
If you love watching Wild Earth, here's a little tip. Become a member. You can gain access to the channel ad-free, you can rewind and re-watch sightings, and you can join our Tuesday live safaris. There's also behind the scenes videos, fireside chats, and every Safari Live episode, whenever you want it. It's just a better way to stay connected to nature.
What is that? Let me enlarge my screen here. What is that, Liv? Oh no, don't swallow it, no! I can't see what that is. It looks like a bird.
No.
Is that a bird?
That's like a beetle there.
No, that's a bird of some kind, I think.
Please turn around.
Is that a bird? I can't necessarily see too well. If you guys have got a bigger screen than I do, let me know. It looks like a bird. We're going to have to do some bush CSI. I see a little foot there, but I can't be sure. My screen's not massive. But let me know, guys. Let me know what you see. I see a little bird, but I could be wrong. This possibly is my first kill ever on Live at the Waterhole. Nice. Yeah, I can't zoom in more than I'm zoomed in at the moment. Ben, you're saying it's maybe a baby lapwing? Yeah, it could be. He did have to dig quite heavy for it. It could have been that it went into the grass and hid in the thing there. I think if it was a lapwing, Ben, the what is that? Oh, I can't see. Can you see, Liv?
I'm telling you now, it's a...
If that's a beetle, we all better run for our lives, because that's huge.
It looks like a beetle.
No, I don't think so. Pierre, you're also saying looks like a dung beetle. It's so big. Do they eat crabs, Riley? Yeah, they pretty much eat anything, these guys. Is that what it is? Is it a crab? I think,
It's a crab.
Riley, I think you might be right with the
What
crab.
frog?
I don't know. I can't see. I'm kind of just guessing here. Guys, I can't see, unfortunately, and I don't want to say what it is, but yeah, it could be a crab, Riley. They do. These guys pretty much eat anything. Although I think it looks soft, Riley. You know, if it was the shell, that carapace would be breaking, and you'd see bits of it. But Mr. Elemental, a nice juicy frog, it could possibly be a bit of a juicy frog, but that leg looks very birdie-like. Looks like a very... I don't know. I mean, at least hasn't just swallowed it and walked off. He's tourist-friendly. Yeah, I can't think. Wildlife lady, you think it's a beetle? Looks like a frog. Ooh, he dropped it. It's big. That's big, man. Oh.
He split it in half. It's got wings.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Anyway, Liv and I got CSI Bush happening here in the office, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. It does seem to have a carapace by the looks of things with that, what's the name, melanistic marble. I think you're right, it's not a bird. In fact, I'm almost positive it's not a bird. So it's either a crab or a beetle. I can't recall a beetle being that big though. Even a big rhino beetle or something, that's big.
Well, you know what they say, it's the first time for everything.
Possibly, but if it's just like I said, if it's a beetle that big, I mean, I don't even think the old VW beetles were that big.
Jono will die.
It would be, yeah. Cool, man. How cool is this, guys? Man, I'm glad we spotted him coming out of the water. He seems to have finished it now. Very cool. And like the crocodiles, they store most of their fat around the base of their tails. That's generally where lizards will keep, these big lizards will keep. Looks like he's going for seconds. That was just a starter. I think it was a crab. I'd put money on a crab. On a freshwater crab. Nice, well played. And it's lunchtime as well, so it's the perfect time. What are you making me for lunch, Liv? 2-minute noodles. Great.
Oh, a soup sandwich.
Oh, delicious. Oh man, guys, this is so cool. Isn't Africa just the best place ever? Look at those claws. So you remember I was telling you earlier, very good climbers. They climb up trees. And very good swimmers as well, guys. Very similar to crocodiles. What they do is they put their limbs to their side, and then they use their tail to swim. And yeah, they in fact, every now and again, if you see them swimming, you could swear that it's a baby crocodile. Very good swimmers. I've actually seen them eating fish as well, but he seems quite keen on the old buffet here. It looks like he's found another bit of food here. So that's cool. Well, cool if you're not a crab. If you're a crab, this is just not good. So Mr. Elemental is saying maybe the lizard is not as big as he looks. Fair enough. Although if you look at that tail and that girth, he's got something else.
Oh no.
Yes, he's absolutely hammering it, yeah. Yeah, just judging by the girth there, Mr. Elemental, I think it's not a massive monitor lizard by any. That does look a bit like a. Oof, no, I'm not even going to do it anymore. I can't figure out what it is. But yeah, he does have a bit of girth on him. So There, what is that? Oh,
Crab. Or spider.
no, that's not a spider. It's shiny. It's a crab.
It's a crab.
It's a crab. It looks like a crab, guys. That's what it looks like it is. So this must obviously be the posh restaurant. He's decided no burgers or anything tonight. I'm going to go straight to the old seafood restaurant. Amazing to see this, guys. Isn't it? Just, yeah. Every day is different. On often on game drives, I'll get guests that'll say to me, don't you get bored of driving the same roads or walking the same areas? And no, because of this kind of thing. I mean, you know, this doesn't happen every day. Sometimes you'll come across this waterhole and just see impala and ellies around, and then next minute this happens. It just, every day is different out here. It's so cool. We move over to Jackie's Dam. We'll go back there. We did lose the feed there, guys, unfortunately. So we will go back for the crab massacre shortly. But for the time being, we'll just scan around and have a look what's happening at other waterholes, and it gives me the opportunity to go through some of the comments. So Spas, it's very nice to hear from you, Spas. Thanks so much for your question. Spas, you're saying, how do the trees, if the elephants are feeding on them, communicate via the mycelium that I mentioned? So the mycelium is just another form of communication, Spas. So it is it's chemical as well, but the mycelium goes for a much further network, so it can cover quite a large area. So whereas the chemicals that are released will go downwind to a few trees to up their tannin levels, on the mycelium there can be communication happening for a couple of kilometers actually, or even more, depending on the area and the type of trees and their root systems as well, and how plugged in they are. So you know, if the for instance, like a marula tree, you know, if you're in an area where there's a lot of marula trees and the ellies are feeding quite heavily on it, or breaking branches to get to the marula fruit, or at least trying to push the trees over, which elephants tend to do quite often. As you can see while we're panning around, there's some trees that are dropped. They would be able to communicate because they are large and they tapped into the mycelium more. They're able to communicate on a larger distance, and that's the benefit of the mycelium over the chemicals. I love trees, man. Grametti, you were saying you think it's more a beetle. Yeah, I think we're going to go back over to him. Sorry, guys. So it looks like it's eating more, so we'll head back now where we've got the camera back and go and have a look. Grametti, thanks so much. You were saying that you think it's more of a beetle. I don't know, unless we get like clear, because it was digging, so, and it's not that close to the water, so it could very well be beetles. It could very well be. Whatever it is, he is in absolute heaven. Going for them. He's going at it again. I can hear the rattling testiculars calling in the background there. They seem to have an endless complaint about life. Got some Franklins calling in the background while he has a dig. Wow. This is first for me, guys. I haven't I haven't ever seen them do this before, kind of roaming around digging up food like this. I normally see them bugging the birds, or sometimes feeding on something dead, like carrion as we call it, or leftover meat or something like that. But he is digging. Looks like he's onto something else. Lion Lloyd, you're saying that it looks like he's digging through elephant droppings and eating dung beetles. Possibly, because obviously at this time of the year the elephant dung is very red from the tannin from the trees that they feed on. So there could be a little bit of, although it did look deeper in the ground. But yeah, I know they do that. I know they do go into the elephant dung and feed on the different dung beetles that are in there, because with the dung beetles you get the ones that roll the dung, you get smaller beetles inside the dung that live in the dung. So when you're driving around, guys, try and avoid riding over in particular elephant dung, because often you'll get insects that are actually living inside the dung. So even though you don't see dung beetles on the top, there are smaller beetles that'll be inside, that'll be breeding. So always try and avoid it. It also helps with the flicking up of the elephant dung on the mud flaps, and then you're having to clean it. How many of us have gone to Kruger on a camping trip or just traveling around and have gotten back and have got, in particular, buffalo dung? That's the worst, because you hear it. You'll drive over and you'll just hear chick, 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 and you know you've just driven over a huge buffalo pat, and you're going to need the old spray to get it off. So, but yeah, the dung beetles are inside there. Then you get some dung beetles that'll come in that we call kleptocopterids. They come in, and as the name suggests, they'll come and steal dung balls from the ones that have rolled it. And for those of you that are not 100% used to dung beetles or know exactly what they're doing, when they're rolling the dung balls, they're essentially trying to attract a female. So it'll be a male that'll be rolling it, and he'll attract a female. And sometimes what will happen is they feed on that ball and then go back and roll another one, and then the female will then position herself on the dung ball, and the male rolls it off. And then what they do is they bury that dung ball. The female will lay her eggs in the ball. They cover it up again. And then when we get heavy rains and the ground gets quite heavily wet, the larvae will break out, eat the dung ball, and then come out of the ground. And that, incidentally, is a honey badger's most favorite thing. They love digging up the dung balls and eating the larvae out of those balls. They absolutely love it. But we're going to kind of go off now and see what else is happening. Moving on to Rosie's pan. And we have one of the small five, which is a leopard tortoise. Looks like he's been in a bit of a war there. Looks like he was shot at. That little hole on the side there. This tortoise reminds me, when I was younger, I was with guests on a game drive, and we saw one of the leopard tortoises, and I said, "Oh, there's a leopard tortoise," and we stopped and had a look at it, and one of my guests said to me, "Ooh, why do they call it a leopard tortoise?" And just without thinking, I just said to her, "Oh, no, because it's the only tortoise species that drags its prey up a tree." Now, sometimes what will happen is you'll say something like that as a joke, but the person is so amazed at what you've said that you just can't recover. So there is a lady, and I believe she was from Washington, who I told a massive fib to, that has probably told friends and family that leopard tortoises drag their prey up tree. It is wrong. It is not true. They do not do that. But yeah, sometimes as guides we just can never recover. And every time I see a tortoise with a side view like this, it reminds me, I don't know if any of you remember a movie called The Never Ending Story. there was a character in that book and in the movie called Morla the Ancient One, and she was this massive tortoise that had that head that came out. Not that it matters, but yes. Hey, you haven't seen that movie, yeah?
No, I'm too scared of the wolf.
Oh, but this tortoise will be having a nice drink, possibly feeding on the vegetation around the water. The original caravan, this little house on the back there, and I see a spider wasp flying around. That tortoise, wrong species, buddy. Move on. So tortoises, you can actually tell if it's a male or female by picking them up and turning them over and having a look underneath. And the females are flat underneath, whereas the males are concave underneath. And that is so when they are mating, the male can fit on top of the shell, the female's the back of her shell, nice and carefully, almost like a little Lego piece, so they can mate. And if anyone has seen tortoises mating, it is one of the most awkward things that you could possibly see out in the bush. It lasts for about half an hour, which is impressive, don't get me wrong. However, they pull weird faces and they make strange noises, and it's just, yeah, it's a bit awkward, and something you kind of just drive past and pretend it didn't happen. But like I was saying, to sex them, you turn them over, but be careful when you do pick up a tortoise. You don't see them that often in the dry season or in our winter season. And obviously we're fortunate here in parts of southern Africa where there's permanent water around all the time. But in your drier areas, try not to pick them up and turn them over, because the females have a little sac called a bursa sac, and she stores water inside that sac to release on the ground when she's digging, so that she can dig up and lay her eggs. Now in dry areas, if you pick them up, they release that water out of the bursa as a deterrent, because it sits in there for a while and it absolutely stinks. Some people think it's urination, but actually it's water out of their bursa sac. Now in the drier areas, you can actually affect their breeding if you do this, because then the female is not able to dig the hole that she was initially trying to do. So yeah, just be aware if you are looking at taking my sexing a tortoise to heart. Just make sure that you do it in an area where the animal is able to get water if it needs to release its water in the bursa sac. So you can't tell, but this tortoise is running away. It's a very quick tortoise. It's sprinting. It's actually quite quick, eh? Very, very cool. And they don't hibernate. Some people suggest that they hibernate in the winter. We don't get cold enough for reptiles to hibernate here in southern Africa. What they will do though is they go into a period of inactivity. So they will just they drop their heart rate, and they go into an area where they can rest. They still move around. It's not that uncommon to see tortoises and other reptiles moving around, and snakes in the winter time, especially if we get a bit of a hot kind of berg wind coming through before a front comes on. But yeah, they will kind of hang around. You don't see them moving around as much and feeding much until the summer months come, in which case they move around, primarily because, remember, reptiles are ectothermic. They have to rely on what's happening on the outside, like sunshine, to warm their bodies up. And obviously the warmer they get, the more their metabolism works, and the more they need to eat and the more active they need to be. As we kind of pan around to our hippo friend, that is chillaxing in the water with the impala going back. We'll come back to our hippo. We're going to head over elsewhere and see what's going on. Oh, gee whiz. So we go from monitor lizard to a humongous croc who's smiling for the camera. Look at those teeth. Now those teeth grow throughout their lives. They don't, if they lose them or it breaks off, it grows back. Crocodiles in fact carry on growing throughout their life. They are just, yeah, next level. For any of you that have heard me a few times on the show will know that I just love crocodiles. I find them absolutely fascinating, but have a very healthy respect for them. Yeah, everything is on the menu, including us, so we need to be fairly careful with them. The mouth is open. It's not open to smile at the camera, as I suggested, or to ward off any other animals coming down. What it is doing is it's releasing hot air. So like I was just saying now with the tortoise, they are ectothermic, and they've got their solar panel out. They are nocturnal hunters, so what they will do is during the day they will absorb as much heat as possible. Any energy that they absorb, they store in their muscles as lactic acid. These guys can store massive amounts of lactic acid that would be highly poisonous to us, but yet they store it in their muscles, which they will use throughout the evening while they are hunting. So what will be happening here is this animal will be at a point where their battery is almost fully charged, and like a lithium battery charger, it's opening up its mouth just to release some heat out of the membranes in that mouth. As you can see, the membranes are white. The inner lining of the mouth is white and doesn't absorb or burn when its mouth is open.
I think it also opens its mouth to cool down.
My name is Amy, and behind the camera with me is Paul. And I mean, to be able to share it with all of you. Fingers crossed, and I'll make sure I wear my lucky leopard socks as well.
What does it take to handle the wild? Balance. Determination. Focus.
Yaku!
And gear that can take a beating so you don't have to.
Every week, the wilderness delivers.
And that's why we're here.
Drama, chaos, crimes, humour. All moments you'll never forget. We've counted them down, argued about them, and finally picked the very best. From rare sightings to classic bush showdowns, this is nature's weekly highlight reel. Sharp facts, bad jokes, and the wildest top 5 you'll see this side of the savannah. It's not just a show, it's a wild bush week.
How cool is this?
tortoise, the rhino beetle, the elephant shrew, the buffalo weaver, and the lion ant. Those are the small five. So leopard tortoise, elephant shrew, buffalo weaver, rhino beetle, and the lion ant. Now, if any of you are unsure about what a lion ant is, if you've been walking along the road as we zoom out to see that other crocodile, if you've walked along a road pretty much anywhere in Africa, you see these little white circles, almost look like little whirlpools in the sand. That is antlion larvae. So what they will be doing is they'll be waiting for any little insects that go into those little holes, and then they grab them. They're very strange looking animals when they're at their larvae stage. They have like these little claws that come out and grab small animals. Now you can sometimes take a piece of grass, like a bit of thatch grass or something, and just touch the edge of these antlion holes, and you'll see that little claw pop out to try and grab, and then eventually what happens is they come out and they basically look like a lacewing or like a dragonfly. That's essentially what the adult form looks like, and off they go to breed. Very, very cool. So that the bird at the bottom of your screen there is called a great egret. Busy having a look around for some food. I think I've told you guys before about these great egrets. They the males get like the yellow in their face goes like a greeny color during courtship, and they have like funny little spur feathers as well, which they use for nesting sometimes. But he'll be moving around looking for, it used to be the great white egret, for any of you that are not au fait with the new bird names, but it is now the great egret. So guys, we're going to leave the dinosaurs of Africa and we're going to head over to Tembe and see what else is going on. We've got some ellies hanging around, doing what ellies love to do: drink, eat, splash around, throw mud. And any of you who are photographers out there will know that magical time of day, either early morning or late afternoon, that golden hour as we call it, where it just, sometimes we get really lucky if we're facing into the sun and we get a bull elephant or any elephant actually that blows sand into its face, and we get that dusty shot with that sun in the background. It is something that every wildlife photographer is always trying to get. It's a difficult shot to get just because of the camera settings you need with that light. I am not a manual kind of camera setter, if that's the right term. I always leave it on aperture value, and then I just adjust the aperture, sometimes the lighting, depending on what's going on. But yeah, some of the guys will come in and their manual settings are just next level, how they set up everything. I think it's more confidence from my side, and the fact, as a guide, we spend a lot of the time positioning our guests to get the best shots or to get the best view. and so we have a very limited time window to be able to take our own photos. And so sometimes for me it's just so much easier just to keep it on aperture value and take a couple of snaps when and if I get the opportunity to do so. As you can see, the one in the middle is having a nice little sand bath. We've got a big guy at the background there as well. You can see those amazing tusks. Here he comes now, being a pain, shooing everyone away. So that's not an aggressive thing at all, guys. That's just being playful. Bit of dominance happening there, no aggression whatsoever. These boys will all know each other. Sometimes what happens with the breeding herds is the herd gets too big and they split up, and then they come back together at certain times of the season. And so quite often these bulls are related in some way. They have an auntie or a granny or something that's connected, and they're very aware of each other. Some of them have grown up together. And even though at the age of around about 15 or so they head out on their own, most of the times because moms kicked them out, they still heavily rely on meeting up with each other and that social interaction. Elephants are very sociable creatures by nature, so even though you do see the males moving around, they often will meet up with each other and have a little bit of a chat. But there's always that posturing, as we've seen at El Doño, that happens, just to make sure that everyone knows their place. But we're going to leave these guys to their little sand bath. I believe we're going over to Naledi now to have a look at what's going on. Woo, man, now that is an elephant. Quite an old guy. You can see that head has dropped below the shoulder line, which means that the muscles around the shoulders are starting to get a little bit weaker. But I am not surprised looking at those tusks. So this will be a tusker guy, guys. What qualifies elephants to be a tusker is essentially if you can quantify that the tusks weigh one tusk, so one side weighs 45 kilograms or over, and I can tell you right now both those tusks will be over 45 kilograms, so he will be regarded as a tusker. I don't know this guy. I don't know if I've ever seen him before. I was very, very fortunate during my guiding career to see a few times a tusker called Mastulela, who sadly passed on. He was humongous and actually very chilled on foot. I used to love approaching him on foot. But this guy is going to, he's got the most magnificent genes, and this is Jive Bunny. Hello to you. It might be Uzulwini. I don't know, Jive Bunny, if I'm honest. I would be lying if I said if it's Uzulwini or not. But yeah, the chances of it being him are quite high, just because of the area, Greater Kruger area that this is in. I wouldn't be surprised, Jive Bunny. Going for the freshest water that he can. This is a very typical elephant behavior. At the moment he's just reading his Facebook messages. You can see he's having a sniff. There's obviously been other elephants that have been around, and he's just answering his WhatsApps, checking out what's going on before moving on. But he is a big boy, still in good condition. So even though that head is dropped below the shoulder line, you can see the hip bones are not showing that much. So he's still in quite good condition. And of course, you know, everything is relative. So possibly because those tusks are so heavy, you might find that head hangs a little bit low, and he's still kind of not at that age where he's struggling to digest as much as possible. But you can see those folds on the ears have folded back, and that cartilage is a little bit weaker as well. As you can see, it's flapping around, so he is quite an old guy. Jive Bunny, I don't know how old Islwini is. Possibly you could fill us in. I'm not sure what his age would be. That might help us narrow it down a little bit. Gee whiz. I think he missed. I think he missed, boy. Looks like there's some sharp-toothed catfish or barbel in that little water hole there. Oh, I'm going quiet because it's just so nice to hear all the noises from this guy as he drinks. I'll go quiet for a minute or two and we just take in this most amazing sighting. Look at those tusks, guys. Those are absolutely massive. For those of you that are unsure, those tusks are essentially elongated in size of teeth. They are not horns or what we would know as horns on antelope. Those are actually ivory, it's teeth. I'm not going to say a word. My daughter just pulled a face. She's shocked at what she's just seen. I'm not going to say anything about it. We'll just put it down to scratching. So, Joshua, for Mark, you asked a question earlier about, you're saying your sister's asking how they give birth. Now, this was during the time where we were looking at the tortoise. So I'm guessing that you were trying to figure out about the tortoise, and if not, I do apologize. But yeah, tortoise breeding is quite interesting. So as we've lost a little bit of visual on this guy, let me go into it just kind of briefly, or as briefly as I can do it. As you guys know me, I love to talk. But essentially, these tortoises only breed in the summertime. As I said, during the wintertime they are inactive. So generally now is the time that they'll start to breed. Basically what happens is the rainfall actually triggers the mating activity. So as soon as they start getting heavy rain, it just helps with obviously digging. The females will look at mating. Now I told you about the mating and how weird it is, okay? So the females will actually start building nests about a month or two after the mating process, and they'll dig with their hind legs and they make like a burrow. That's about a ruler, I've measured it before, it's about a ruler length. that they'll do in the soft soil. As we see a beautiful beautiful shot of our boy here, who I'm hoping is a little weenie. I am trying to get confirmation for you guys. And like I said, they do it in very soft soil. If it is quite hard and it has been if the rain is kind of dried up, they will use that bursa sack for the water. But they lay quite a few eggs, hey guys. They can lay, generally it's between 10 and 20, but they can lay up to about 30 eggs. And the females will do this like 4, 5, 6 times a season. They will mate, lay eggs, and they can do this 4, 5, 6 times, like I said. So we call them clutches of eggs. So they'll lay clutches of between 10 and 20 up to 30. It's quite impressive actually, but the incubation period is quite long. It can take up to a year, sometimes even a year and a half, for those eggs to hatch. It's quite surprising, right? Oh man, this guy is so beautiful. Look at the size of his head. He's huge. Now what's interesting with the tortoises is the warmer the nest, the more females are born, because obviously with reptiles the warmer the egg, or the hotter the incubation of the egg, or the cooler the nest is. It depends on females and males. If the nest is much warmer than the females, there'll be more females than males. It's amazing. But the monitor lizards, our friend, she will come in and they hammer these little hatchlings. So they get, even though there are sometimes up to 20 of them that emerge, apparently, from what I remember, only about 5 to 10% of them actually survive to adulthood. But that's just an adaptation that Mother Nature will have. The more that are born, the more chance there is of survival, but yet there's then food as well for the other animals, which is just kind of how she works as our friend disappears. Now, while I'm talking and telling you about our tortoise friends, I am trying to get some kind of confirmation whether it's Isolwini or not. I'm looking at photos and I see the head is a bit low there. That left tusk is a little bit, let me just look at that right tusk. I think that'll seal the deal for me, whether it's him or not. No, I don't think this is Isolwini, guys. So Isolwini's right tusk is actually shorter than his left. And on this occasion, actually, the right tusk is actually longer. And this elephant is more left side dominant. So I don't think this is Isolwini, actually. I stand to be corrected, but I'm almost positive this is another elephant, just by looking at his tusks. But what a magnificent, oh, there goes another tree story. Rubbing on the tree, getting rid of those parasites, as I mentioned to you guys. See the mud on the back there. Beautiful, man. What a sighting. What a way to start the weekend. Am I right, guys? We've had some awesome sightings today. What with that monitor lizard, and now we've got our massive friend here. This is really cool. But I will try and get some form of identification for you guys if I can. I will do some homework. Our amazing techs have taken a few screenshots for me. I'm going to try and figure out I'm going to try to figure out who this is. If he will, this one will be known, obviously, so he will be. I don't see a collar around him, but the guys will know him. So it'll be interesting to see who it possibly can be. He may very well fall asleep. So very large bull elephants like this cannot lie down. They're just too heavy. They will crush their kidneys and their internal organs. So quite often what they'll do is they'll go into the shade of the tree. They'll put their head against the tree and they'll sleep for 10-20 minutes. I actually was on a walk once, and we had a bull elephant that was fast asleep. Yeah, it was quite an interesting sighting. So I'm getting some feedback, guys. So I may have to eat my words, because a few people are actually saying to me they do think it is him. I initially looked at the tusks, and the tusks don't necessarily look right to me. However, I don't see this elephant that often, so I'm not qualified to exactly clarify exactly who he is. However, I do have some zoomies who are telling me that they actually do believe it is Isilweni, so it could possibly be him. It's not like we get these guys walking around Kruger every day, so the chances of it being him are quite high. I'm just going by what I can identify, but I think I'm getting some feedback from some people in the know that they can confirm it's Isilweni. Stephanie Groenewald is saying you used to see him quite a lot in Pridelands. And Jive Bunny, I think you were bang on. I think you were 100% correct when you came through and said, is this Isilweni? So a big tusker on a beautiful Saturday. What more do you want? Ooh, and now listen, look above that elephant, and you'll have a look and see there's a branch just above him. That is what I was talking about earlier, about a sacrificial limb. You'll see it's stunted growth, and that tree will be storing tannins in that limb, and that's what a sacrificial limb essentially looks like. Very low down in the tree, and stunted with pretty much no growth on it. Oh, look at those tusks, man. I'm in awe sitting here watching this guy. You can see those ears having a bit of a flap there, just cooling himself down, even though he's sitting in the shade or standing in the shade. Yeah, I've seen these guys sleeping before against a tree, but often what they do as well is they'll lie down on a termite mound. So they're not lying down completely flat. They're kind of at an angle, and they'll sleep like that as well. So it's not uncommon. And Natalie, you're saying you hope it doesn't push down the tree. Yeah, I think that tree stands zero chance. If he starts to lean on that tree, and what Ellies do, so pretty much the rule of thumb is if the tree can fit between the elephant's tusks, the elephant can push the tree down. And what they do is they rock. And they move back and forth, and eventually just push that tree straight over. And essentially what they are doing, in the Kruger area like this, they are going for the roots most of the time, because most of the trees they can reach the leaves with their trunk. So generally what they do is they push it over and they go for the roots, which are highly nutritious, but also the water that is contained in the roots as well. It looks like he's like hugging the tree and going, "It's okay, I'm so sorry the giraffe keep feeding on you. It'll be fine. I'll chase them off, I promise. I'll stand guard for you." So Disco Dave, oh, what a cool name, Disco Dave. Man, I need to update my names, I think. Thank you so much for your question. You are asking, can an elephant walk from, say, Kruger Park to see David in the Masai Mara if he wanted to without leaving a protected area? So, Disco Dave, no, it wouldn't happen. There's just not enough. There isn't a wild corridor that'll stretch all the way up there, unfortunately. So, you know, many years ago, the elephants could roam around and would be able to move around most of southern Africa into East Africa, some of them, on their migratory routes. But even if a elephant wanted to do that, remember they only know the area that they know, especially the breeding herds. So the females will hold the knowledge of where to go, and that's completely uncharted area for them. They're very reluctant to go into areas that they're not sure of, due to they've got to look after the youngsters. They've got to make sure that they know where the water is, where the good food is, and so the breeding herds probably wouldn't, even if there was a corridor. It would take many years, and you probably would have to relocate some of the herds over there to almost bridge the gap. As we see our friend here, who we almost are positive is Ilwini, having a big butt scratch on the tree. I'm sure the tree is excited about this, very excited about having a massive 6.5 ton bum being scratched on it. Check this. My wife has just joined me as my child has abandoned me. Check this guy. He's huge, eh? Check those tusks. He is massive. And you can see that long right tusk of his he's either been digging with it, or he just keeps knocking it into the ground. And you can see it's been stuck in, but he is left side dominant, this guy. You can see that left tusk is shorter and sharper than the right one. So he uses his left side more. And not just the tusk, you'll have a look on underneath the trunk. They have these almost ridges on the trunk, and if you look at the trunk, you'll also see that the ones on the left will be more worn away than the ones on the right. I think he wants to have a little sleep. That noise that you're hearing, I don't know whether you can hear it, but I have a Chihuahua, and I don't know if you can hear that. I don't have a pet warthog. It is it's my Chihuahua. I don't know whether she's on her last legs. You can hear her. It's a strange dog. I don't know if any of you have Chihuahuas out there, but they are odd, let me tell you. Very strange animals. Jeez, we nearly finished the show, guys. I think he's also finished the show by the looks of things. He's having a little bit of a time at the tree there. Moonlight at Midnight, thank you very much. I appreciate the comments about the show. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I will pass your regards on to my wife and daughter. We actually are going, so my daughter's finishing primary school this year. She's just finished her final exams, and I think on the 20th, so what's that, next week, she has her farewell like dance. So after this goes out, we're heading to the local mall to go and shop for a dress for Olivia. Sounds simple enough, but I guarantee you at 6 o'clock I'm going to be still walking around that mall looking for dresses. Fun-filled afternoon.
unfolds in front of you.
The bush, full of beauty, wonder, and absolute chaos. And now, all that madness has its own show. It's called a Wild Bush Week. The countdown of the most outrageous, heart-stopping, and sometimes downright ridiculous wildlife moments of the week. Lions throwing their weight around. Hyenas gate-crashing the buffet. Leopards doing, well, leopardy things. Each week, it's a fresh reel of safari gold, a mix of drama,
She's just got her impala, everybody.
danger, and a healthy dose of laughter. So, if you fancy a highlight show with bite, and I don't mean just the animals, tune in to a Wild Bush Week. You bring the tea, and we'll bring the tusks, tails, and teeth.
No rugby for Sean today. Dress shopping. Can't wait. Wildlife Lady, thank you so much. I'm really glad we enjoyed the show. And yeah, thanks as well to our Zoomies for confirming as well with the Zulwini. What a privilege to have seen him. And Nadine, you're saying good luck Olivia for the dress shopping. Nadine, I think you should be saying good luck Sean and Andrea for the dress shopping. Because we're going to have to walk around, and knowing Olivia, she'll look at 5 dresses and won't be able to make a decision. We'll make the decision for her, get home, and she'll tell us, actually, I wanted the other one. As we hear the Egyptian goose in the background, moaning at Izulwini here. He looks like he's got his screensaver on. Yeah, he's having a little snooze. So animals, so we need a few hours sleep at night. I had a previous guest who I was on safari with that only sleeps 3 or 4 hours a night. I don't know how he does that, but most of us need a good 6 to 7 hours sleep. These animals hit their REM sleep very, very quickly. So a 20-minute, half an hour nap for them is a good 2 to 3 hour nap for us. And so they'll have these frequent little naps throughout the day so that they keep their energy levels up. So it's not uncommon to see this kind of thing happening, and then he'll carry on feeding once he decides to. They're never fully asleep. They come in and out as they need to, but you can see he's taken the weight off the foot there, and it does look like he is heading to Club Duvet. We're heading to oh, Nadine, you're saying good luck to Sean's bank account. Gee whiz, I'm saying good luck to my bank account as well, actually. Mr. Elemental, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You have an amazing day. Penelope, thank you very, very much. You had an early birding morning at Elaleni Zululami. There's actually some great birds around at the moment, especially on the coast, actually. You need to go to Below Hops, Penelope. Go to Below Hops during low tide and go have a look. I'm not going to spoil it, Go have a look at what's on the rocks at the moment at low tide below hops. You'll be surprised. Yeah, shame. He's so cute. So guys, we're a couple of minutes out before I talk too much and I get counted down and I'm not able to say goodbye properly. This is going to be the last show for me this month. I'm heading off on safari, and we'll be back next month with you. Festive month. So I wish you all an amazing rest of your November, an amazing rest of your weekend. May your month be as restful and relaxing as Izawini is making it look. Much love to all of you. Please pray for me as I go dress shopping now. I see my daughter is expectantly waiting by the door. And I wish you all an amazing, amazing day.